YouTube video out now, man. Like, comment, subscribe.
It's been raining over the past few days. Let's get this water off here, dry it out on the inside, mop it up, and start playing with the toy TT. 10 up. So let's get inside. I have my mop bucket so I can mop up all the residual water that got trapped on the inside. It's not a whole lot, just a little bit. Well, it's a lot better, but don't get it twisted. It's still a little chilly. You can still see some of the ice on the ground. So it's still a little chilly out here. Probably a little chilly for most, but either way, we got a project to finish. Let's get in here and start playing with this TT. Making some progress. Okay, got the pipes connected. This was a little bit tedious to cut, but as you can see, I still have some flexibility. It's not uptight. As well as I'll get more pivot room when I trim part of the fan shroud back a little bit. It's a little hard to see, but this pipe at the bottom is making some contact right against my fan shroud. And if I trim that back, we'll be good to go. Making some progress. Got the pipes tacked together and it's looking good. We're not tight or binding up. We have flexibility, as well as I will have more room to pivot a little bit front to back if and when I trim a little more away from the fan shroud. You can see some of the plastic trim up here. I was trimming away for extra clearance, but it's another piece that's sticking out, and I can trim easy a ½ inch off that, and that will give me even more room to pivot and flex. But we're looking good. Passenger side is just about complete. Next side to do is start tacking on this driver side. I gotta trim this back a little bit and get this angle position right. But that V-band clamp does look a lot better than a hose connection. Looking good, looking good. Got the passenger side done. Got 2 V-band clamps over there. Looking good. Now we got to trim back the driver side, cut that, get a V-band clamp on that thing, and it'll look good. Then it'll be complete. So that looks a lot better aesthetically on the front compared to the red hump hose connector with 2 clamps, something similar to this. Now this is okay back here in the engine compartment. It's not frontal appearance. We can see I will eventually probably put one more last one on here. We want to double check when this engine starts tilting back and forth if everything is good. It's still got a nice bead on there, and I seriously doubt if this ever becomes a problem. But for aesthetics, finalization, we probably will eventually go ahead. But I wanted to kind of focus on getting this front nice, aesthetically looking good, and kind of complete. Once I get this set up, then it's time to go ahead and jump on all this wiring and get this bad boy wired up. Got a dollar in the dream, looking good. Got those V-band clamps over here, 2 on the passenger side. Got to trim back this on the driver side, cut that back, and get it. These angles were tight and very tedious. There wasn't much room for any mistakes at all, but that's the look that I want from this front. Pretty much nice aesthetic, not too much clutter. Those 2 huge red hose humpy connectors would have kind of took up a lot of space, as well as took away from the appearance. I know a lot of people use them, but this is the new way to go. These clamps are definitely rated at 800 psi, so we shouldn't have any problems with any type of boost leak or anything like that. But either way, let's go ahead and start cutting back on this driver's side pipe, get the angles positioned properly, and tack weld that up. Starting to look good, coming down the final stretch, and it's getting a little late, but I want to see if I can finish tacking this up. So I have the band clamps, and I'm gonna stop calling them V-band, because technically they're not V-band, they're more like a square, but I'm gonna call them intercooler clamps or just the clamps. I have them tack welded on the passenger side, and I have that one right there remaining to tack on the driver's side. But I actually went a step further. I do not like backtracking. If I can get all this set up to eliminate the hose clamps or the hose connectors, I end up installing one right there as well coming off the turbo. So getting these angles and cuts is definitely a lot tedious, just so I got the right flexibility, but it's starting to look pretty good. So as you can see right here, we're getting close, but we definitely got some good movement to be able to tilt up and down, and I can still get this clamp in here. So coming down the final stretch, let's see if we can get this last piece tacked in there. Hopefully I don't have to trim too much more. I can just go ahead and fit it in and tack weld it in position, but we'll see. We're getting closer and closer. Things are still tedious. I have to get a cut on this particular angle so I can get it in there pretty much nice and flush. So we're getting even closer. So I'm gonna go ahead and slice this off on the angle and see where we're at. Turned out pretty good. Got the clamps mounted. Actually went a step further and hooked the one coming off the turbo. So we are now completely intercooler band clamped from turbo, intercooler, J-pipe leading up to the throttle body and throttle body itself. So we are band clamped throughout. No hose connections whatsoever. So I'm pretty sure my brother would be pleased with that. We'll put the bumper cover on, take some final pics, and wrap it up for tonight. It is definitely later than normal for me to be out here, and my neighbors may start complaining. I've been grinding, cutting, got my bandsaw out there, chop saw. I got too much stuff out here. So it's time to wrap this up for the night. About to wrap it up for the night, finish tack welding all the band clamps in place. Turned out pretty good. Aesthetically, I'm pleased with the way it looks. So I like the way it looked a little bit better than the red hose connections. Took an extra step further also. Tack welding one end coming off the turbo. So we are complete from turbo to intercooler, intercooler to throttle body. We have 5 band clamps in position. Because the hose clamps were sticking out a little bit further, and once I tack welded these band clamps in position, I have to do a little more trimming off my bumper cover right at the bottom, just so I'm not making contact. The hose connectors, I had them pushed in all the way, repositioning everything with the band clamps, just a little extra more trimming right there in the corner, and the bumper will be back flush again, the bumper cover itself. So other than that, looks fairly good for the most part. I'm pleased with it. This will come off. I'll probably trim it up. I do like the fact that it kind of holds the support from the top edge of the bumper cover so it doesn't split down in the middle if removing. So I'll probably still leave a small little piece going right across just to keep it connected. But we definitely want to open that up so that our intercooler can receive as much air as possible. So we just got some more small trim work to do and completely welded all up the band clamps, and that should be it. And then hopefully we can finally start on the electrical wiring. But this turned out fairly well, and that should reduce and possibly eliminate any possibility of hoses blowing off during a run. So we definitely don't want nothing like that to happen. We got a race and all of a sudden a hose blow off, which has happened to many people, and you lose a race because of loss of boost pressure. So we're now secure. These clamps are rated to handle 800 psi. All I have to do, as I stated, finish welding everything up and move to the next stage. Okay, I'm on the way to work, and all of a sudden my coolant temperature went off. I hope I don't have a clogged thermostat, but you can definitely see that the expansion tank is venting. I pulled over in another parking lot right off of Route 40. There's the Home Depot. So I'm probably 10 miles from home. So I'll let this cool off. I found a time, use my last bit of water and antifreeze, and trying to make it home. It appears it's the thermostat. My top hose is hot, bottom hose is hot, but my radiator is extremely cold, which is showing me I'm not getting any type of circulation through my radiator at all, which is showing that it's probably a clogged thermostat or locked up. For a brief moment, I think the thermostat opened up. I felt heat coming out of my heater coil, and then all of a sudden the temperature raised up, started rising again, and the temperature got cold in my car. So yep, let's make it home. I have the original and the new thermostat inside a bucket of water, bring it to a boil. We're going to test it out just to see if the original one is actually faulty. Continues the process of removing the water pump. So I've removed my charge pipe, my serpentine belt that draws my accessories, and now I'm about to gain access to the motor mount. I've drained my reservoir for my power steering, lower charge pipe as well, and the tensioner is on the ground. So we're slowly removing and taking parts off to gain access to the water pump. So pretty sure next step, just following the procedures. I'm gonna have to support the engine and remove this engine mount, rotate the engine around for top dead center, use a pin and lock in the injection pump, and just continue with the process. Have my engine mount out. I have to take my damper off as well as the timing cover right here. So I have my injection pump lined up at top dead center, but there's a few old marks where I had been playing with the timing before. You can see this mark here, and I had like a little orange mark up top. But my cam, I was playing with the timing for my cam sprocket. You can see right here I'm way off. Now this engine hasn't been running to me as efficient as it possibly should. I'm thinking I'm probably losing some power. This is a tough call. I'm not even sure if I should even move this sprocket right here. I have been playing with, you can see, it's adjustable timing sprocket. If I should rotate this so that we can hit TDC, or pretty much leave it as it is. But I'm gonna put some fresh marks so I know my injection pump is lined up properly. The car starts up fine with no problem. It's just I would think my power should be a lot more for this car. It's not that heavy. So we'll still do all the basics and possibly maybe play around with this depending on time. It's already dark. I want the car still running pretty good, or even better if I can, but we shall see. But let's continue with getting that damper off and the pulleys off. I'll still make some extra marks so that I can know where I'm at this current stage. Old original one versus the new. You can see the metal impeller versus the plastic, and this thing is shot. So I can literally spin this around. The shaft isn't even moving. You can see it's just remaining still. So I got the pulley held in place. And of course, when this heated up even hotter, it expanded even more and just was not circulating my coolant like it should have been. So this thing is done. Luckily, we got a lot better metal impeller, so this should last quite a bit longer. Let's go ahead and clean this up, put the O-ring on it, and install it. So we want to clean this up where the water pump mounts. Try to clean up down inside this trough area also, because it's a little bit, small pieces of plastic just broke off of the original one. And I was testing it just to make sure the impeller was spinning, and sure enough it was. Which resulted into this major job. We're going to clean up this and install a new one. Trying to get this beast timed properly. So my crank shaft harmonic damper, I have that lined up at TDC. It's a small little notch in the damper as well as on the cover. I had previously marked my cam timing My injection pump, that's the thing that's in question. I had purchased this used before off of a salvage vehicle, and I'm not sure if anyone possibly loosened this nut right here. That's a big no-no. You should never adjust this nut. Only the 3 bolts right here, and you want to, it's slotted, so you want to be able to clock this back and forth. So this has always been a little issue whenever it came to timing this vehicle. Also, I pulled out my transmission plug right here and my crankshaft. Let's see if we can get a look at it in here. A little tight squeeze. As you can see, that is at TDC as well. That is the 0 mark for a TDC on the crankshaft. So we're pretty much lined up pretty good on that. Let's go ahead and try to play with this, lock it in. I have to lock in my 3 bolts right here, lock in the 3 on the camshaft, and try to fire it up and see if I can get this thing started up. So I checked my race car for confirmation, and the intake lobe is pointing upwards, so this is somewhat correct. Only downfall is my intake lobe is actually up a little bit higher. That could be just this cam profile, but my intake lobe is pointing and upward almost even with the top of this cam cap, which now makes sense. Just wanted confirmation. Ain't going to take any chances. So it appears the cam timing and the crankshaft timing was close, and it could be back to the original issue that has plagued me for a while with this engine, whereas this injection pump, the timing always seemed pretty awkward and off. I have all my timing marks lined up and my injection pump in the correct location now. So double checked everything. I still have my valve cover loose. I have to put the bolts back in there, but the whole point is, let's see if this baby fires over. That's the whole thing. This is where the timing and everything was just crazy. So this will be the first shot since I have the injection pump in the right location. Let's see what'll happen. Come on, baby. Yes, first shot, boy. Yes, there we go. First shot. That goes to show how tedious this is with making sure everything is timed. The piston to valve clearance is extremely close in this, especially by being a TDI. Extremely close. You have very little room for any type of correction. So you make a mistake, you want to make piston to valve contact. That's why it's best to, once you have your timing belt on, always rotate your engine over. They say twice. I usually do it definitely twice, 3 times, and sometimes 4 times. But first shot, so now I can start putting my hardware back in position. I have all my piping removed off the TT. All my band clamps up top. Look at that big monster turbo. Damn, turbo look almost bigger than the engine. No, that's definitely a joke. This big 3.6 liter engine, that's a big V6 or VR6. So that turbo is right at home with that big boy engine, definitely.